What is up, everybody, and welcome to the House of Holocrons, episode number 68. And in this episode, the dark side rises, just like much of Star Wars we've seen as of late. We have a few lovely announcements, and then we'll get into the Bad Batch. And speaking of announcements and this rising dark side, we have the amazing anticipant, or the a culmination of all of the, shall we say, Favreau storylines with, of course, Mando and Grogu, which has finally gotten a date. We know they started streaming on it. They were getting ready for all of that. But we have finally gotten a date for the Mandalorian and Grogu movie, which will be the end to the Mandalorian, the Ahsoka, maybe even Bad Batch. It's kind of like tying together all of Filoni's recent stuff and ending it before, we get into Rey's time period, things like that. The Mando and Grogu date. But it is nice to see finally that Dave Filoni's a culmination of stories, because we do finally have a date announcement for Mandalorian and Grogu. Still one of the weakest titles I think I've ever heard. I don't know why they can't give it like a name, but yeah, whatever. That's nice.
Yeah, it almost feels like a TV special with a name like that.
Yeah, it feels like it should be a 45-minute TV special that comes on after an episode airs, and you're like, oh, whoa, like a crossover episode, which that's what it's going to be, because Ahsoka's going to be in it. I imagine we're going to get a whole bunch of the other characters from the Filoniverse. Maybe that's how we get live action Omega. Who knows?
Yeah, we got it finally slated for May 22nd, 2026. So 2 years from now. Date's probably gonna change.
Yeah, true.
Knowing how things work, but at least we got a slated date, so we know we're not gonna see it for another 2 years.
Yes, helps the
I think it's
speculations.
the first official movie date that we've been given. So I believe because the other two movies that are coming, the Dawn of the Jedi and the sequel to the sequel.
Yeah.
Which I don't think we've got an official date for that yet.
The Dawn of the Jedi, I don't even know how much that, like, they've been pretty hush on that one. We know very little about Rey's new story, just because Daisy Ridley's been like, oh, well, they've talked to me about it a little bit, which sounds cool. So at least
I'm
they're doing
hoping that one comes out at the end of next year, but I would be surprised if it was another 20. I'm
still surprised how little we've gotten on Skeleton Crew. Like, I still don't know a damn thing about Skeleton Crew. Is that supposed to be this year?
Well, when they have the big convention thing with May 4th and everything, and then we do the Star Wars convention. I'm assuming
Celebrations. Yeah, Celebrations Japan is going to be wild. I really hope we get another announcement for like a Visions third season and stuff like that. That would be really awesome.
Because I believe we did get a teaser of it, but we didn't get to see it. It was only at in person.
And I like that they're doing teasers differently, because there was an Acolyte teaser that people saw last year at Celebration. That apparently the first half of the trailer was that, but then the second half was different. So I'm happy they're changing things up a little bit. But we have that announced, and then we also now have the Tales of the Empire, the dark side version of Tales of the Jedi, where we're going to be going over stories, talking about what it seems to be Barriss Offee's back, and is now becoming an Inquisitor. And I think that's going to be a really awesome storyline.
And we also get a sort of a kind of a bridge between Ahsoka and some of the other content with leading to what's it, the witch?
Yes, Morgan Elsbeth.
Yeah, thank you.
Yes, yeah, so correct.
That will be a great filler. I mean, great information leading up.
Yeah.
But in the end, most people will only watch it for the couple scenes with Grand Admiral Thrawn, and then, but the other one is what really people are going to be into. The Inquisitor storyline was, well, both of these were completely unexpected. I thought we were going to get another Jedi, and so I think this fills on par, since we're getting the Acolyte. I guess this is the year of the dark side, probably.
And I'm so down for that. Yeah, with all the stories we're getting that are so much darker, with this, the shows we're getting that are taking darker tales, and getting the side of Barriss Offee as an Inquisitor, getting Morgan Elsbeth defending her people. Like, it's another big thing that shows, again, in Star Wars, there is no good and evil. There are just people who use the Force to protect, and there are some people who use the Force to oppress. And they all have their reasons for doing it. And it's a lot more of just like motivations and momentary like aggressions and emotional statements. That's what I love about Star Wars is the bad guys aren't downright evil aside from Sidious. He's just evil to be evil for evil's sake. Everyone else is a bad person out of necessity to protect the people they love.
I'm curious where this will lay on the timeline.
Yeah.
For Barasafi, because that's the one that will because the other one we imagine she's gonna do like highlight, but the Inquisitor storyline, because it can fit in a lot of areas. It can fit in some Rebel time frame. It can fit into some of the Obi-Wan time frame. So we may see some crossover with those, or not at all. So that's really interesting because there's a lot of things that might intersect with that.
I would be honestly, and a lot of people are talking about the redemption of Barriss, how she's gonna know that that's Anakin who's Darth Vader, and she's gonna like. And I'm like, no, I think she's gonna be. I honestly think she's just gonna be evil, and like what happens with most Inquisitors, they just say something stupid to Vader, or she's gonna pop off to Vader one time and be like, I know who you really are, and then he's just gonna murk her for knowing too much. He's like, nope, don't even bring up that name. Buzz.
Honestly, I thought it was more of a challenge that she would probably challenge him, thinking he's the same Anakin. Either that, or she might respect him that she knows who he is.
But I really, it's going to be so much fun, and I hope she doesn't get like if she gets redeemed, I won't hate that story. It'll be fine. If she doesn't, I'll be so much more happy because I think it'd just be better for her just to like go down bad. I mean, because someone's got to bring in her master. Someone's got to bring in Luminara. So what if it's Barriss Offee who actually like offs her master? That'd be such an intense storyline.
Well, her master. We find out the master's fate.
We know she has to end up dead and captured by the Inquisitors because they use her body.
They use her as bait to try to draw on other Force users.
So it's a pretty gruesome fate, and if Barriss had anything to do with that, that's gonna be nuts.
I kind of hope it'd be cool if she's the one that kind of helps capture her.
Yeah,
I think that will definitely make a very dark storyline.
Yeah,
I don't like the idea of her being redeemed at all. I think
same.
I think because we're definitely not going to get any redemption in the other storyline.
Morgan Elsbeth is
So if anything, she's going to go down a darker path. I would like to see it both.
Yes, and I also
so we know the fate eventually because we know the Inquisitors eventually get killed off.
Yeah. Well, that's the other thing. Is I'm happy to see that we also now have Merrick and the other, the weird Shadow Hawk guy that Ahsoka just murks in Tales of the Jedi. Those two were shown next to Barriss, so maybe we'll actually get a little bit more info on Merrick and who the hell Marek is and why he's a gas bag.
Yeah, but it was just out of nowhere. There was no leading up. I mean, we knew they were going to do a Tales of the Jedi coming up around the same time this year, so we weren't. We kind of figured it coming, but they didn't like lead to, hey, we're for sure going to do this. There had to be something. And then when they dropped that trailer out of nowhere, it was. I remember like I got up and I saw like Star Wars, the Star Wars official channel had the poster, and then right under the poster, I was like, oh, I gotta save this poster, and then I see a trailer. I was like, where'd this trailer come from?
It was an amazing announcement too. The way they did it, like it burnt. You see Tales of the Jedi, then it burns away, and it reveals Empire, and it really is just like the year of the dark side. I am so ready. I think the Acolyte is gonna really cement like this root of darkness in Star Wars storytelling. And I think they're realizing how many of their fans, like the Jedi are the good guys. We get it. But the Sith are so much cooler.
There's a reason why the biggest costume group dresses up as stormtroopers and Darth Vader and Sith.
Yeah,
so
exactly. So that's going to be amazing. The Tales of the Empire is going to be a really fun one, and we will definitely be doing reactions and fun stuff like that on the channel.
We got May the 4th on that one, and there's 6 episodes.
Probably all dropping at once like last time?
I believe they're all 6 dropping, if I remember correctly.
And guys, don't forget, May the 4th this year is a Saturday, which means we have time to watch them.
It depends on our schedules, because me and you might be busy depending on...
Yeah.
So yeah, we got that, and then we got... Well, that was the big announcement, in my opinion. We got the date, and then the final thing we got last Tuesday. Well, we got a teaser last week that this Tuesday they're going to drop the trailer for the new video game.
which
which is
looks
Star Wars Outlaw,
yeah.
which we've seen some footage before from I think Celebrations last year.
Hmm.
It was like a really basic some gameplay. It looked cool. We were afraid it was going to get canceled, like the other video game that got canceled.
Yeah.
But luckily it didn't. And then this one we got more of like story footage,
Yes, a
which we
lot
got a
more.
huge character announcement, which um, it's that storyline that we kind of got shafted with Solo. So this is going to be nice to find out more
Yeah.
information. Which it seems like we're going to find out information of all like the major crime syndicates at that time.
Right. We see in the trailer like there's a carbonized Solo, so it's gonna be about that time period in between
Yeah.
Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi. And yeah, it looks like we're gonna be getting a lot of information about the Hutts, the Pikes, like all these other syndicates. It's gonna be nice because that means we're also seeing Crimson Dawn or Crimson Sun in this. Black Sun is the Phalines. Crimson.
You were right the first time, Crimson Dawn.
Yeah, Crimson Dawn. But so we're gonna see that Maul's gone and dead, so no
Yeah,
lightsabers.
they kill him off in Rebels,
Yeah,
and that preceded episode. Well, it was way before Han Solo got
hmm
carbonized. So
but it looks just amazing. Again, Assassin's Creed meets Star Wars and Grand Theft Auto is the best way I can think to apparently describe this. Customizations for you, the ship, your partner, Nyx, the little like alien hound thing that follows you. I will
yeah,
be pre-ordering it. I am not paying. I am not
yeah.
going into a stupid. What a
There's three
surprise!
prices.
What a surprise!
They
Ubisoft does what Ubisoft does best.
like with all the major publishers right now, they're doing the $70
Yeah.
thing. So we're no longer doing games at $60 unless you're making a really fun game that isn't made by a major producer, like
Yep.
in the $40-$30 range, which all the good games lately have been. Um, so we're getting the $70. We're getting, I believe, $109 for the first pre-order.
Yep.
Not the first pre, the first package, and which I think is just a skin. And then the last one comes with an additional skin and I guess some art. Pretty sure that's it.
Right. Like, what is the point? Who is paying that much money? Like, and people will, but
it's not. I mean,
why?
and the worst
It's too
part
much.
is, I think is really gonna hurt them is they're not doing it on Steam.
Hmm.
They are gonna have it on Epic. I think a little bit later, but the main thing is Ubisoft, and I think the pricing is to encourage because if you get their Game Pass, then it comes with the Game Pass for free. The Ultimate Edition does.
Hmm.
So it's like either you spend $129 on the game, or you pay I think it's $17 a month for our service. So
Which I'm not doing. I'm gonna get it on the Xbox, and I'm just. So you might not see playthroughs of it, guys, because unless I make a Twitch, because I'm not doing that. Like, I'm just not.
the cool thing about the packages, though, is that we see there's customization with some of the characters.
Hmm.
Because some of the higher end packages, the pre-order gives you a ship skin and a body skin. This is really similar to the new Jedi games, where it's just kind of a skin. And the higher ones come with well, there's a motorcycle skin.
Yeah.
Well, the pre-order's a motorcycle skin and a ship skin, and then the later ones has the outfit skin and the little pets. What are I don't know what it looks like an axolotl. Um,
But it looks amazing, and if there's other clothes you can get in game, who cares about the pre-order ones? I've never once got a pre-order outfit that I wore the entire game because the other ones didn't look cooler. So,
and sometimes too it like really kind of takes you out of the moment because like
mm.
you like progress and you look like in game. I mean like end of game
Right, yeah, you don't want to look
outfit.
in. Yeah, you don't want to look like one of them almost looks like Lando Calrissian style, the Sabak, snake pit or whatever they call that outfit. And it's just Lando Calrissian. You have a cape and like this blue top, and you look too fancy. You're supposed to be a
So
smuggler, a lowly
so
little
the
smuggler.
so the PS5 will have it Amazon Best, but all the stores
Hmm.
you can buy it on. Same with Xbox. Will not be on the Xbox Game Pass, but you can buy it digitally.
Yeah.
Um, PC is mostly the Ubisoft store. They say that's the only way to get it, but Epic, if you go on the Epic Game Launcher, they have it listed on there as a pre-order. So I'm guessing Ubisoft doesn't realize that Epic's going to get it because Epic's like, yeah, we're getting it. Steam is 100% not getting it, which, like I said, is going to hurt your sales.
Yep.
But the gold edition, which is the upgrade, you get um, 2 upcoming story pack DLCs. So I guess that's where they put the money in.
I guess.
And then you get a Han Solo outfit, essentially. You get the matching pet costume, and that's pretty much it for the first one. And then the 129 is you get all that. You get
So
the
much
2.
money.
They call it the season pass, but it's the 2 upcoming story pack DLCs because they already have the DLCs already pretty much
it's
probably
Ubisoft.
done.
Yeah, it's Ubisoft.
It's done, but they haven't released it. You also get to play it 3 days early because you spent too much money. And then the second character pack, which I'll send you, it is essentially a Han Solo-esque costume.
Yeah.
And matches the vehicle matches the cloud car. Just kind of weird. Which is the people associate because of Bespin, because it's like bright orange.
Mm-hmm.
And you get the motorcycle skin. Uh, yeah, and then honestly, they remind me. I don't know. It's a weird because the second one reminds me of the vehicles from Boba Fett a little bit.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's essentially Lando and Han Solo outfits,
Which
and
whatever.
then yeah,
Because it's not worth it. That's what it is. None of it's worth it. The game's gonna be amazing. I'm gonna pay this stupid $70. I'm gonna get the game. And I'm gonna play it a lot. It's gonna be fun. I'm gonna have a great time. Have a great time.
I thought about just getting like their subscription for like a month,
Oh yeah.
and
Play
then
the
just
hell out
not
of it.
because I don't. Yeah, I feel like I would still save money if I only paid like 2 months worth and then stop paying for the service.
True.
But that was my first thought. I don't know if you have to like buy so many months for it to include.
That would be hilarious if that's all people do is they just get like a free trial and then pay for like maybe a month or two, beat the game, and then unsubscribe. So they lose just like infinite amount of money on this. I hope that's what happens. Hey guys, if you can do that, I'd honestly recommend it and teach Ubisoft a lesson. So the new stuff going on in video games is predatory. It's like the lack of physical media is just now starting to worry people, and it should, because they're literally just taking things off now. They're just like, yeah, we don't have that no more.
Well, one other thing they don't really mention much is Amazon gets the Rogue Infiltrator. It's one of the you get the skin pack for one of the, I think it's the $100 one.
Yeah,
in GameStop, if you pre-order, you get the additional one. I think it's the ultimate pack one you get from the 100, but they're like edition on 2. So it's like you get 2 if you pre-order from the game. You get the standard pre-order, but if you get it from Amazon or GameStop, you get those. And then if you go to Target, they kind of screw you over because you just get a steelbook. And nobody really likes steelbooks unless you're just crazy and don't, because they don't match anything on their shelf. Steelbooks are it's an additional case. Yeah, I mean, what we've seen lately, especially with Ubisoft and all these, I'm not super excited about it as I want to be, because not many games from major publishers have been
good.
Bad.
They've been bad. I've got a lot of hope in this one because people who make Star Wars games usually really love Star Wars, and it's a better team. And I just got to keep my fingers crossed. But it's like I want this to do good because I want Star Wars to do good. I want Ubisoft to fail every fucking way they can sometimes. But I just want Star Wars to do good through other people, so EA can't have a grip on anything. And I want Disney to go to other people who want to make Star Wars games instead of just AAA people.
I mean, we've seen like the top games that we've seen lately have been under $40, and they've been full content and constantly worked on. The only full price game that has been dominating, which is Baldur's Gate, and they're still touching on that game.
Yeah.
And then the big outlier right now is Helldivers.
Yep.
And games like that, they've been doing so well they're really showing these companies you don't need a massive team,
Hmm.
because it's like they hire a bunch of people to work on these, and then they rush them in this project. They treat them
Yeah.
terribly. They constantly change things, and they want. I'm sure there's going to be a store for the buying more skins and
Oh,
stuff.
dude, 100%.
They want to sell these microtransactions. It's just more greed and more greed. We saw this with Skull and Bones lately, which that was the quadruple A game that was
Hmm.
so broken, and it cost a lot of money, and yeah, it's just, and there's better games out there that run better.
Right.
Yeah, the game industry's it's it feels like with things like Helldivers and stuff that player people are starting to wake up that you don't have to keep being loyal to these franchises and these
Right.
developers, because if you do, they're just gonna just shovel out shiny crap.
Yeah.
That's literally what we've been getting lately.
And that's what sucks. Like when you talk to other developers and like hear what they talk about, it's literally like, no, we just look at the other 5 games that are doing great this year, try to incorporate as much of those 5 games as possible, and make something. They're not even going for new. They're not going for innovation. They're not going for.
No, they're trying to appease their
Mm.
investors. That's all they're doing, and they're trying to appease investors by how much money they can make off games.
And that's the worst thing
So
about
they
it.
can
Yeah, it's like
report those numbers.
it gets to these boards of people who only care about increasing the amount of yield per year, not the amount of quality, which always ends up hurting a business in the end. And no one's ever learned that for some reason. I don't understand why, but it is what
Yeah,
it is. It'll continue like
imagine
this to a degree for a while.
the DLC packs and they put them out. Seeing these prices are probably around 40, $50 each, because there's two of them.
The thing
So
I'm now worried about though is that the main story is going to not actually have a good ending unless you play one of these fucking DLCs.
I'm afraid it's not going to be playable on day one either. But
Yeah.
yeah. And the other thing, so the funny thing is when you look at the prices, but if you go on their website,
Hmm.
the first thing that pops up is the Star Wars Outlaw Ultimate Edition,
Yeah.
and they have the two prices. Like, it's like you want to pre-order, well, you can either pre-order for 129.99, or you can check the box underneath it that says 17.99 a month with Ubisoft Premium Plus. So it's it's really funny. It's like,
Why? That is so much money for just digital skins.
well,
Not a
and
statue, nothing.
the thing is they really want you to, because they want that subscription model, so that way you forget and you keep paying
Hmm.
for it. But also, it's the whole idea of these companies don't want you to own your game anymore,
Yeah.
because if they own the game, they have to continue to work on it and finish it. But if they own the product, they own it digitally, and you're
Yeah.
just kind of renting it from them, then they could just easily pull it away from you. Say, now we're not going to keep working on this anymore.
Right.
And because it's a bigger thing now, and a lot of these new consoles and everything are going to push for this, because a lot of countries are starting to push it. I know they were doing this in Australia
Yeah.
and some places in Europe, that there's games out that are requiring of online play, and because of the games over time, they don't have enough players, so they closed the servers off. I know the big one was which I think is that driving game. It was a online driving game
Yeah.
that that they closed the servers, so the game was unplayable. Um,
Hmm.
and so people are upset because they wanted just to play the game, and the game is totally playable without online. Because I played that game when it came out, and it's you could play the entire game without running into another person, and it would be fine. It's basically like
Yeah.
an open world Need for Speed game, but like in Europe style.
Hmm.
Um, and yeah, so these countries are starting to put these laws out saying, hey, um, if you're gonna have to make the game playable, even if you don't want to keep supporting it. And so that's
It's a crazy how much this industry is doing like what Hollywood did when the first laws came in. Like, you gotta treat actors right, and you can't have sex with all the starlets, and you gotta start treating people with respect. And they were like, well, blah, 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 blah. It's just the same thing, but in the video games world, where now people are coming out with laws like you need to actually make a video game and put out a working video game if you're gonna sell it. You can't just sell useless crap. And they're going, well, blah, 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 blah. Like, it's gonna happen eventually in the next like decade or so. There's gonna be a lot more laws regarding around animators, around graphics people, around audio developers, and they're just gonna have like it's gonna be a lot more.
I'm hoping we get to see with how we did with Helldivers and some of the other games that come out. There's been a couple, and it helps a lot with Twitch players and YouTubers that play these games specifically. When you look even games like uh what's the game you do when you like the little orange people or the little like colored people?
Among
The
Us,
social deductive game,
Pac-Man.
yeah, Among Us. Among Us. So
Okay.
something like Among Us, that's like a small developer,
Yeah.
and even them, similar games they just push forward, and I think that's super healthy for the game industry
Yeah.
because they're not destroying people's lives. They do this in Japan, they do this in the United States, and you in Europe. You hear all these terrible stories, or or the women workers that work there, they sexually assault them. Looking at you, Blizzard, and some of the other companies that were doing
Yep.
it and are still doing it. People just think just because it's not making headlines anymore, it stopped. It hasn't stopped. Um, yeah, it's just we need to stop highlight or just buying stuff just because Blizzard, just because EA, just
Yeah.
because just because it's a title you're familiar with. Buy a game that's actually fun.
Yeah.
Because a lot of these games, you buy them, and you really only playing them because you can play them with other people. Um, so things like Call of Duty, most people don't buy the
Right.
game for Call of Duty. They just buy the game because they can play a shooter game online with other
Yeah.
people. That's really it. And if you go down to the core of Call of Duty or in these other major games, they're terrible games. Like FIFA. FIFA's a horrible. The older ones were great,
Yeah.
but the same with Call of Duty. They're just copyware that they just keep shoveling crap or taking crap out. It's just I really hope we get to see more of these games with
Flounder.
makers that we've had lately that have been doing these lower prices. Because if you make like Helldivers 2 and some of these others, they're smart. They're like, we got to keep our players happy because keep your players happy, we'll keep more player base
Yeah.
around, stuff like that. And that's not what it's like with these other games. They just want you to buy that initial purchase or try to lock you some subscription.
Oh,
And
dude, you know damn well if any other person had made Helldivers 2, the automatons would be locked behind a paywall. You'd have to be a season pass owner to fight the automatons. All the armor would be behind like loot boxes. It would be a
well,
horrible game.
the whole season pass thing, or not the season, but it looks like a transaction thing, but it's not.
Yeah.
And that would all be money
Oh,
based.
that'd be hardcore money based. Can you spend real money on Helldivers 2? Yeah, but you have
I will
absolutely no reason
say
to.
that the money to in store ratio is probably the cheapest I've seen in any game. If
True.
you look at the value,
Yeah.
because you could drop like $5 and buy the whole like two skins worth,
Mm-hmm.
which is like, and I think you'll have a little bit of money left. And you go to other games and
Bro, go to
you spend
Fortnite.
like $20 on a skin.
Yeah, you go to Fortnite. You're spending $20 on one skin, and you're spending
Well,
like 25 on the emotes and the pickaxe and the blah 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 blah
there's other
blah.
games that are way worse than
Yeah.
that too. I know they were having that was the big deal with FIFA. There were expensive packs that you get for players.
Yeah.
There are players that should be in the game, but you had to buy them to these packs, and that's what they started getting these gamble laws on these
Mm-hmm.
things. Yeah, if we're gonna pay a more expensive price, and that was my thing with Blizzard, and some of these other MMOs. But if we're gonna pay this high premium price, don't expect that price to continue with
Right.
your DLCs, with your in store. It should be an in store purchase if I'm paying for a full price of $70, and right now
Mm-hmm.
it's supposed to be considered a AAA game,
That's
with like
done.
a complete game.
Yeah.
But yet, and one of the worst ones at it, and the reason I was bringing up Blizzard is because you're paying $70 for an expansion, so you're getting
Yeah.
playing a new game. On top of that $70, you're paying a subscription fee. So you're paying a monthly fee, which I believe is $15, I think, or might be more than that. I don't remember. I haven't played
I haven't
World
touched
of
WoW in
Warcraft
a
for forever.
minute.
But you get it. You're paying a subscription, and then on top of that, they have a store to buy stuff out of.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like there's just like how much money can they draw out of their players, and it's terrible. But you have so many people that are afraid to move on to any other game that they just keep throwing money at instead of like move on to another game, and they will want you back. As they'll become desperate enough,
Right.
they'll make what you want. But you keep feeding them, they'll just keep shoveling
Yep.
crap at you.
And then we just hopefully, but we gotta have our fingers crossed. It is August. We this year. Love that. That's a hell of an awesome announce date, honestly. So we'll be getting the Outlaw game relatively soon. Pretty much be a nice summer blockbuster
Hopefully,
game. Yeah,
hopefully no delays.
right. And it's going to be amazing. And I think this game, much like the Acolyte, is going to tell a lot of the future of what's going to be happening. If hopefully Disney has a tight rein on these other companies and is like, no, we are only going to sell you the rights to this game if it's going to come out in this kind of condition. Like, we don't want to be tied to another Battlefront 2. So
or a Battlefront remake.
Or that, yeah. Poor Battlefront. It's such a great game, but it.
Yeah,
Or Knights of the Old Republic.
The problem with Disney is they've not done very well in the video game department.
Right. Which sucks because when it was LucasArts games did amazing. Well, they should not have gotten rid of LucasArts.
Or Disney games even outside. I'm talking about outside of Star Wars because they have that new Disney. It's basically Disney Animal Crossing.
Yeah.
My wife enjoys, but man, the game could be so much better. And speaking about expensive cosmetics, there's so easily spend real money in that game. And I'm talking about you get like a skin for like just like a thing or like a little ornament, and it's a lot of money. It's like 10, 12, 10, 20 bucks or more.
Dude, Disney people are nuts.
And so I'm hoping that they realize if they make a good Star Wars game, which has happened, like we did with the Jedi game, with Star Wars games in the past, that, like you make a good Star Wars games, people are gonna come.
Yeah, 100%. And they will love your game. They will create a following over your game. How many people people are demanding more Cal Kestis because those games created a following. And that's the beauty of Star Wars. If you create an okay enough game, we will follow you to the very brink of the end of Mordor because we love Star Wars.
Yeah, and honestly, the game could be a way better. They've improved it with the second one, but even then, I think in that category, it's not the best game. But in comparison to what we've gotten with Star Wars, it's a good game. It's got a good story.
I love it so much.
There's better options out there, yes, but for Star Wars, not really.
Yeah,
it's probably one of the best Star Wars games we've gotten, for sure. If I did a top 10 list, it would definitely be up there. Especially the first one. I like the first one quite a bit, and that would be in my top 5 easily. Yeah. And I've played pretty much every Star Wars game in existence.
Right.
Even the old, which we talked about the old games. So yeah, it's. I'm hoping this game knocks out of the park.
Yep.
It's like half of me kind of wishes it fails because I don't like Ubisoft very well.
I get that. You're torn between it. Like again, you don't want the Empire to do good, but you also don't want them to not make the things you like.
I want Star Wars, anything Star Wars to succeed, but yeah, Ubisoft's a terrible company. Or you could tell by the pricing. I can't wait to see all the layoffs from Ubisoft once the game. It's like, it's the crazy thing with these companies. Like, it's like 10 out of, it's like 9.5. It sells billions of copies, and then next article, Ubisoft lays off hundreds of
200.
employees.
Yeah, exactly. Everyone who worked on that game that just did great is now jobless. Yay. Well, speaking of people who are now jobless, we'll move on to the Bad Batch. Which is thankfully, we kind of saved it to the very end and stuff because it's not... This is the return to almost the serial style. Juggernaut, fun episode, has action in it, has suspense in it, has heartfelt moments in it, but it is very much so setting things up and just creates a minor problem, which is resolved and then led into. So this is a very open and close.
It's definitely bridging the plot line for sure.
100%. It kind of starts off, we get a little bit of Omega with Emery on Tantus. She's kind of like, you don't have to do this. And Emery's really fighting. You can tell there's a lot of internal struggle
Yeah.
going on with Emery. Hemlock, which we don't, at first everyone's like, why is he showing Omega around? Oh, that's right. Hemlock's just talking to Omega about how happy he is that, well, they'll finally be able to finish their, procedures pretty much with her here, and takes him to the vault and locks her up with the other kids, which is kind of what we knew would happen. But that's like, I can see how that's going to be very bad for them once they get in there and break out all these force sensitive kids.
Yeah, I think his philosophy with children, and the reason why he likes using children, is if he kind of talks to them like respectably, and doesn't bind them up, that they will just go along with it, and it's less issues with them. Even somebody that's ran away, he doesn't put her in binders. He doesn't have guards on her the whole time. He sticks her in the lab with Emery and just lets him, find out the details, and then casually walks her into the vault as he explains kind of why she needs to be there. And yeah, it's like by the time it's like why would he do this? But by the time he's done kind of doing what he's doing, it's like it doesn't matter. She's locked in a vault anyways.
Yeah, she's now in the most secure place she can pretty much be now. She's even more secure than her cell she was originally in.
Yeah, it's one of the most secure places in the entire galaxy, probably. I think there's only a few handful of places that might be slightly secure, and that's because of the residence / location, like the Inquisitor palace thing, facility.
Fortress Inquisitorium.
Okay. Yeah, that one would probably be a little bit harder just because of the Inquisitors themselves.
Yeah.
But
it is going to be nice. We don't know who all is going to be attacking, but man, did I not expect to ever hear this again. Crosshair's only person who might know just how to help them get to Tantus is Admiral Rampart. So we get a breakout mission where in the later part of this, they break Rampart out of prison. It's a pretty fun time. A little bit of action, your average kind of stuff you'd expect. Turbo tanks, explosions, yada yada. Fee coming in clutch, doing some amazing piloting and good stealth operations. Fee really did a great job, I think, in this episode. Really grew on me a lot more, just being, again, an amazing asset for the team and a really fun pirate. Smuggler of acquisitions and ancient goods.
It's some of the more death that we've gotten lately.
Yeah.
We haven't gotten a lot of death on screen, and there's a lot of death.
Dude, they are murking stormtroopers in this
one. Well, one of them literally gets squished
between a rock and a tank. Yeah.
Yeah, they do the and he tumbles away. That dude's.
He did not live.
If he's not dead, he wishes he would.
Exactly. People just straight up fell off of a huge ravine to their death.
Because if you see how tough those tanks are, they were taking rockets. They were creaming through thick barriers and a gate. I mean, those things are tougher than they look.
So he
besides the wheel part, that seems like their weakness. Apparently.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't think we've seen them before, but I don't think we've seen them fight before.
Right.
I don't think we've ever realized they had rocket pods on them before.
Yeah, they talk about it a little bit in the Clone Wars series. I think you see them in the Umbara arc or stuff like that a bit. But
these ones are different than those. These are the Empire version.
True, that's just to me that was just like the logical, it's like what that thing is
these
compared to.
Those ones felt like they were like war models. These ones feel like they're more utility models.
Yeah, troop transport and.
Because we mainly see these, I believe, in Andor and I don't think they
saw it a little bit in Mandalorian. Isn't that what they were driving?
Yeah, Mandalorian. I thought they were in Andor too, but the main one we saw Mandalorian because we saw.
I think we see him in Rebels as well.
I think you're right. Most of the troop transport in Rebels was that weird one.
Yeah,
they had that hover tank and it had they were like standing. It was based on that old Kenner toy, but it's so dumb. But yeah, it was a fun episode.
They get Rampart out. Yeah. Of course, Rampart's like, well, I actually don't know the full way to get to Tantus, but I can help if you get me off the planet.
I like how he tries to negotiate with Crosshair, and he's the worst one to negotiate with, but at least he's better negotiating now because he's nicer than he used to be. But he's still Crosshair.
Yeah.
He's like.
And
my first thought when he's like, you have to get me off this planet, and Crosshair's probably thinking in his head, I will get you off this planet, but it doesn't mean you're gonna live.
Yeah, he's like, that doesn't mean anything. No, don't think that means anything. But I'm really thinking that with this one, it's just that nice setup. I don't even know if the next one. Let's see, Bad Batch episodes. What we have, yeah. So Into the Breach was the one we just went through. No, Juggernaut was the
Oh,
one we just went
Juggernaut
through.
was this one.
Yeah, the next ones are.
Some of these titles aren't as
I have no
easy
idea
as we thought they would
why was
be.
that called Juggernaut? It makes no
I'm
sense
guessing
to
because
me.
of the tank. That's the only thing I can
The
think of.
only thing I could think of. So yeah, next
But
we have Into
we
the
have Into the
Breach. We have
Breach.
three
So
episodes left. That's it. We have three more episodes left. So things are probably. I would imagine this next episode's going to be crazy because those next two should be like resolution and finality. This next one should pretty much be the thing that sets up everything for the last two.
yeah, I think this next one is probably um, them finding and getting to there,
Yeah.
and probably like sending a message to Rex like, "Hey, we found the location." Because they probably won't be able to send the exact location to Rex until they
Oh
actually get
yeah.
there.
Like they have to go.
So that's
They're on the
that's
planet, and then I
probably
could
what
see
the
that.
Calvi has arrived means.
Yeah.
Because it's like they don't
Dude,
know
it's
where
gonna
they're
be
going yet.
crazy. I don't know. Like, do you think if the Bad Batch gets in there and they don't have any backup, I could see them trying to maybe free the other prisoners just to like start a riot and just do what they can. I mean, cavalry has arrived.
I
I
don't
could,
know.
dude.
I feel like I feel like the
I
Bad
don't.
Batch would just
Are we
focus
getting
on
a clone
Omega.
rebellion? Are we getting the clone rebellion?
Well, if the Clone Rebellion would happen, I don't think Hunter's not the person to do it. The
Yeah.
person who would do it would be Rex. Um, what I would imagine is that they try to get her out, struggle, fail, which would be 14,
Yeah.
and the 15, like they send the coordinates to Rex, and then I feel like Rex would then, with his small group, could have breached because he lost clones because of the
That would make
whole.
sense though, to where the first line that Wrecker says when Clone Force 99 shows up, Rex says to Wrecker when he shows up to save them with a bunch of normal clones.
Well, I would what I want to what I think might happen is we might see if we do get a clone rebellion, I would see the majority of the actual rebellion would probably come from Cody,
Mm-hmm.
probably Cody and Wolf, um, which Cody would lead, and then the Wolf would join in. Of what remaining clones would turn on him, so it'd be kind of like this like distraction is like instead because it's like how would the Empire
Yeah.
not bring in a bunch of Star Destroyers to stop Mount Tantus from being invaded? Well, my guess would be, for starters, most of them don't know where Tantus is.
Right.
But secondly, it would probably be because there's a whole clone rebellion keeping the eye of Sauron pointed away, where they dropped the ring into the
Mm-hmm.
Mount Doom.
Yeah.
That's how I would expect, but they do what they want to do with these shows. So.
It's not jarring. It's just surprising, and I just have no idea where it's gonna go.
I
People
would just like
don't.
to
The
see.
only people who I know have to survive are Rex, Gregor, and Wolf.
Yeah,
That is it.
I think Scorch will probably die.
I could see that.
Honestly, it'd be interesting to see Gregor as the one to kill him, but I doubt it would be.
Now, here's the big thing. What if the person who takes on Scorch is somebody from Delta Squad? What if Rex brings in like Boss, Fixer, or Sev, and like they have to? Because I think that'd be a fun way to like end that little thing where like one of them is on the good side, the other one's on the bad side, and they have to like duke it out.
We already know, we know Gregor is on the good side, so. But
True,
I
he's a
don't.
commando, but I really hope I would love to see the rest of Delta Squad, or at least get some closure on what happened to the other guys. Did they all get killed in Order 66? Like, what happened there? You just give us
That's what I like to
Scorch.
see. I'd like to see Cody because we saw like a whole little thing
Mm-hmm.
with Cody, but we didn't see him ever again. It'd be cool to see Cody, like I said, leading. Maybe that's how he dies. Is he leads the Clone Rebellion and
Oh
dies
yeah,
in the process.
that would
I
be
think that'd
very
be really
poetic.
fun.
Yeah, that'd be poetic if nothing else.
It'd be a fun short series too to
Yeah.
the kind of the Clone Rebellion build up with kind of the Cody Cody's point of view.
Mm-hmm. It's blowing my mind that there's only three episodes left of Bad Batch, and then that's it. Like this is the last stretch for us to have
Yeah,
these
it's.
stories, and
I
then
think this might be some of the last of the clones we'll see for a long time.
right. So
I
then,
don't
because
know if
next we
we
have May the 4th, which will get Tales of the Empire, and who knows what other announcements and random fun stuff.
is
But
everything that like we have
Tales,
Andor will be after the clones, so they won't show up
yeah,
in that. Tales of the Empire probably won't have clones in it. I don't see why they would.
yeah, they should have troopers.
So yeah, this might be the last time we see not only the Bad Batch,
TK,
but clones in general.
yeah, and for a lot of people, Clone Wars is definitely their like number one comfort thing. It's the easiest to go to because it's been around forever. But man, am I excited to be getting into new territory. I know you love the Clone Wars, and I know the Clone Wars, even for me, they are a brilliant story and a brilliant time period. But it is going to be nice to finally get into something new. So again, yeah, we have Tales of the Empire to kind of like talk about and tide us over a little bit until we get into the Acolyte, which is going to be
Yeah.
amazing. I would expect us for Tales of the Empire and things like that too. We're probably going to end up doing an episode on each episode because it's going to be good, and I highly doubt that there's not enough to talk about to fill up a few
Well, if anything,
podcasts.
we'd
So
have to talk about probably an episode for each storyline at
yeah,
least.
at the very minimum. So definitely expect some of that. Uh, got some more Black Series and Vintage Collection reviews coming out as well because that's another good thing that's starting to happen. We had a little bit of a lull in time there. Now things are starting to show up in stores. We have new waves showing up online. Uh, of
Saw a lot
course,
of
Phantom Menace
Darth
stuff.
Darth Maul merch for
Yeah,
Phantom.
Phantom Menace is really popping
Uh,
off,
Disney's getting exclusive Darth Maul lightsaber box.
which looks pretty cool. Looks pretty cool.
Yeah, much of the merch we see is mostly Darth Maul related, and
Yeah,
then a little Padme. So a
Queen
little Padme
Amidala.
coming out. Yeah, Queen
But hey,
Amidala
man,
is
if I had earrings, I would wear those. Those earrings looked pretty dope. May the 4th merch is coming out, or is out and buyable now, which I'm done with the droids design. I don't know why they choose the most least popular media in all of Star Wars to constantly reference things off of. Like, you have a Phantom Menace 25th anniversary, and we're choosing droids. You,
Well, it's the problem with it is the most reprinted characters is C-3PO and R2-D2.
yeah,
But only because they're in almost every movie, but they're in everything. They have probably the most figures ever printed.
right.
I'm pretty sure R2-D2 has the most figures. C-3PO is
So,
up there too. He's a lot of R2-D2, and he's everywhere. And I like R2-D2,
right.
but I don't like him that much.
Yeah, I just feel like there'd be so many more opportunities for a lot more Phantom Menace stuff, which is I just feel like the Phantom Menace isn't getting its just desserts as much as a lot of them should. That's also just because it's like my favorite out of nostalgia and out of being one of the very first movies I ever got to see in theaters and stuff. So I definitely want to see it in theaters if I ever get the chance to. Again, while it's out, nowhere around me is doing the super huge redo. There are a few
But
places doing the
there's
like
one here
movies 1 through 6.
it's about it's like a 40-minute drive from where I live, and they're doing the
Oh,
full.
yeah,
I would love to do it, but I can't. I could not. I could barely sit through without going to the bathroom multiple times in a movie.
right. That's why I
So
look at it is even if I go see Phantom Menace in theaters, then I'll just go home after and watch all the rest of them, and that'll be my little
I couldn't. I just couldn't do them all in theaters.
yeah.
I could do it at home, but I would do it multiple days. I couldn't do the whole because they're doing all the
Yeah,
movies.
and it's like a 30-minute break in between a few, and then they get like a 5-minute break in between each, and I'm like, I'm good, bro. Like I love these movies, but I've seen them so much that I
Honestly,
really don't feel like sitting there and paying full attention to them again.
I haven't had a good movie experience lately.
Mm.
I, the most recent one I went to IMAX with Dune Part 2, and that was kind of horrible because the IMAX theater we went to, the seats were so close. I felt like it was an airplane.
Oh, that
It barely
sucks.
move. Um, I mean, the movie was fine. It's just
Hmm.
the theater, and the theater gave me the pop that I got was 90% water. It was the person was gonna go. It was like a separate. They had multiple convenience, and the lady was like, "I'm gonna go get you another drink." They just were backed up, and then her manager came and was like, "What are you waiting for? I'm waiting for my drink." So he just doesn't even care, and he gives me the watered down, and I'm like, seriously? And then yeah, the popcorn was just tasted old. Yeah, it was just.
Yeah.
I'm not.
And that's the other problem. Like, it's like, hey guys,
That's
if you
just.
want movie theaters to come back and you don't want this to be a dying industry, you guys got to do some work too. Like, I'm not even complaining about pricing that much. I'm just complaining about, like, you need to step up your game.
Yeah, I don't mind it. I don't mind the ticket prices that much. I don't think they're that bad.
Right,
I
exactly.
don't know. It's just lately. I mean, how good TVs are. I
Hmm.
have like a 70-inch TV. Like, I just sit at home and I'll just watch the movie when I could pause it to
Pause
go to the
it. Yep,
bathroom. I
exactly.
could eat whatever. I could eat dinner while watching it. I
Yeah,
could
yep. Cook a pizza, drink a few beers,
I
maybe
could lay
just
down on a couch, watch it.
hmm play with your dog, it's a much better environment. So I fully agree on that one. I'm excited they're bringing them back to the theaters, though. I want them to keep doing
Yeah.
that. If I didn't have a kid, trust me, I'd happily be out there
Yeah.
standing in line, pretending I'm like in full, uniform, just ready to go. But I got
Yeah, I
more,
think I will
I got
see
other
episode one
responsibilities.
in theaters just because I saw it in theaters and it's kind of like a whole
Hmm.
nostalgia thing.
That
But
poster is so gorgeous too. The guy who's been doing all those new posters has been killing it, killing it lately.
so yeah, I kind of want to see just because
Yeah.
it's Star Wars.
And it's just nice to see it in the theaters and to, like, the opening
Yeah, I
crawl.
mean,
As much as I love the opening, that's really all I really want. If I
which
could just
off
pay like $5 and just go in there and sit down just for the opening crawl and the
to be
music and
honest, it was the funny thing with me is like I wanted because it's the experience and
mhm.
everything, and just be back in the theaters. But I just recently watched episode one, and I've seen it a lot of times. So part of me it feels like once I get to like the hype value, starts dying down, I'm gonna be on my phone because I know what's gonna happen. I've seen it a lot, and I can
Oh
go watch
yeah.
it right now. So it's like,
Hey, guess what? What Master Destroyers is you? Like
yeah, it's gonna be. Oh
and I
yeah,
love
that
it.
line.
I love it. I love the movie. I watch it still, like you said, recently, all the time. I love watching that movie. I don't need it. I love the sitting in the theater chair with the ambiance, and then you hear that loud bum dun 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 dun, and then it starts playing the music, and the crawl comes on. You're like, oh, I'm a kid again, popcorn, popcorn.
Yeah,
But then, yeah, the second they're talking to each other about disturbances in the Force, and Qui Gon
yeah.
tells Obi-Wan to be mindful, I'm gonna be like, you should have listened to Obi-Wan. He was about to, like, find out everything right there, probably.
I'm gonna be waiting for like the certain moments that are memorable for me, like my
And
classic one.
by
Now
the
this is pod racing, and
Yeah, right. And by the gods, that's the other thing that sucks. Like, you're sitting there just like, all right, I'm just gonna
are you
enjoy
an
this,
angel?
and then somebody else decides they need to talk, and you're like, bro, shut up.
Yeah,
Especially a
the
movie
other.
that's old, like a movie that has been around that long. When people watch it, they're not just watching it because they're seeing it for the first time. Like, you're gonna have like theater rooms full of people quoting. Everyone is gonna go, now
Yeah.
this is pod racing. Shut up. I don't want to hear all of you.
However, though that if somebody is watching for the first time, I would be severely jealous of, and I
Yeah,
wish I would
yeah.
go to the movie theater with them for that experience.
Now
And
that
then
would
I
be
also
amazing.
feel bad for them as well
Yes, if I had
because
friends who had never seen this, I would go. Like, we got to go to the theater. This is going to be awesome.
hey, just keep in mind, this was a certain time.
Yeah. And there's going to be a lot of
This,
repeating. You're going to hear a lot of people. It's a Misa Jar
well,
Jar Binks.
that and you may not like it.
If you
But,
don't like it, you're not. If you don't like episode one, you're not going to like episode two. Just don't watch Star Wars. Get out of here.
but yeah, there's so many times I almost bought the old pod racer helmet from the '90s. I keep wanting to buy it. I've seen it a couple of times, but
Yeah, that'd
I
be a fun
keep
one to
passing
have.
on it. Yeah, I had a buddy that had one a while back and bought one
Hmm.
because I like it, but it's just the price went up, and I don't feel
Yeah.
like paying that much for it.
And that's one of the biggest things, too. When it comes to Disney, when it comes to the movies, when it comes to the games, sadly, we are just in a time right now where the streaming services are king because they are the cheapest option. And they are the way for us to get the entertainment that we kind of want at a more mediocre value slash demand and supply. But it is what it is. And it's like, Star Wars is doing really good
Yeah.
for making it through all of this because a lot of other industries are dying right now. And even like because everything's so fucking expensive and no one can go see anything or go do anything.
Well,
So,
it's so good because when you look at the other fandoms, it's
mhm,
not a big spot for them.
yeah,
Star Trek isn't at the height as it used to be.
yeah,
They had a good period a couple years ago, but um, they're not doing so hot lately. Doctor Who's kind of in between seasons right now.
right.
Um,
Marvel hasn't done a
and
damn thing
yeah,
since really.
Marvel's dying pretty much. They realize that. I don't think they realize the reason why they're dying, but that's a whole podcast on its own
Yeah,
about combination of just solid actors, but also like you're losing the major. You're not using major characters anymore. You're using
hmm,
characters. No, it's not that people hate Captain Marvel. It's just nobody cares about Captain Marvel. It's she's not a big character. Nobody cared about her.
yeah,
Um, it's it's not that she's a terrible character. It's just that she's just not a main character that people really enjoy. If you look at comic book sales, you'll know what I'm talking about. Like it's the difference between Iron
yeah.
Man and Captain America and Captain Marvel. It's like saying like comparing Darth Vader comics to um
Poe
I don't
Dameron.
know, yeah, Poe Dameron comic. It's like it's a whole different thing.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, it's it's probably one of the with the amount of movies and shows
Hmm.
that we still have a crowd that for some reason are anti Star Wars.
Yeah.
We're getting the most support out of anything.
Yep.
I guess Marvel's still kind of up there, but
Well, because Marvel always
it's
has all their comics coming out, but again, Star Wars has the comics that are changing and revolving around the main storyline. So they're not
yeah.
different universes. It's also the same cohesive story. We have the books. We have the High Republic initiative that's been happening over the last few years now, and bringing new blood and new era into this. We have like all these. Star Wars is doing really good, actually.
Yeah, well, and the only other one Marvel is getting some shows as
Hmm.
well. I don't feel like they're the same quality.
Yeah, I can
Even though
agree
we're
with that.
getting a cartoon with Bad Batch, I feel like the storytelling is a lot better than what the
Oh
equivalent
yeah.
of that's airing at the same time is Echo, and which Echo should be a big thing for me because of the Native American
Hmm.
uh, part, but it's not. It's not that great.
Now, of course, I
Yeah,
mean this sucks
and the
because
storytelling.
Marvel's biggest thing right now, which everyone does love, is just them rehashing the old X Men, which is still great.
Yeah.
I've heard good things about it.
Oh, it's actually, I will say it's actually really good. If you should
Yeah, if you
give
like
it a
the
shot.
OG, yeah, if you like the OG '90s X Men, that's what this is. It's just the '90s X Men, but that's what it is. That's why it's
Yeah.
doing good because it was already good.
Well, it's that, and they took a lot of care because they
Mm,
got some of the original voice actors from the first one. They continued it 1 year later in the same art style, just cleaner.
yeah,
Even the intro was almost one for one, just a cleaner intro. The same song. It's like they took what worked and improved on it without ruining it, and wow, it works.
and I feel
It's
like
like,
that they did what Star Wars has been doing. Star Wars
yeah.
has a set media that they know does good, and they've just been pumping shit out as much
Well,
as
this
they can.
that's what fans want. They don't
Yes.
want some director's interpretation
Hmm.
of it, and that's one thing that's been ruining things. Like, you know, it's like with Halo. It's like I like the Halo universe or the Rings of Power. I like Lord of the Rings universe, but what if I gave my own spin on it? And I'd be livid if they did that to Star Wars,
Yeah.
where they're like, well, this is kind of in the Star Wars universe.
Do
It's
you know
just
what happens when you give someone their own spin on it? You get that stupid ass fucking Zack Snyder movie.
which one?
Whatever one he just did that he wanted to be Star Wars. Remember who was that?
Oh, they're actually having the sequel part two
Yes.
comes
Yeah, I
out
know. Part
in
two
like
comes out
next
soon.
week or something.
But that's what would happen.
Rebel
If you
Moon, yeah.
Yeah, Rebel Moon. If you gave someone freedom in Star Wars and said, make your own interpretation of Star Wars, you'd get Rebel Moon. We don't
That's
want Rebel Moon. We want
well, that was
Star Wars.
my thing with the Halo, the Rings of Power.
Hmm.
It's not that I hated Rings of Power. I'll be honest, there was some pretty dry moments.
Hmm.
It just didn't really fit as a Lord of the Rings thing. It took
Yeah.
more away from Lord of the Rings than it added to it. And the same thing with Halo. Well, Halo just rewrote everything.
Yeah, Halo took like all the books and put them in weird places and at weird times and at weird locations, and like if you don't know anything about the games, this will teach you all the Halo lore you know, and you'll sound like you know Halo, but you don't. Because
Yes and
it's
no.
just different
There's so
enough.
much wrong. No, there's a lot wrong when you get to the ring.
Yeah.
I see some people like saying the season 2 is better. It is better, but I feel like they haven't watched anything past the first couple episodes because man, did that go south real fast.
Yeah,
Um,
the Halo one was a big oof to a lot of people. So, and that's one of the main reasons why I need Star Wars to not have multiple universes, to not
that's
have multiple takes.
that's
It's
why I'm afraid
just.
of the Old Republic. If they did the show on the Old Republic, it would be like the Halo show, in my opinion. I feel like
But that's why
they
we have
would.
people like Dave Filoni
Yeah,
now. That's why we have someone who's literally there to be like, if this doesn't make a conjunction, like, a conduct, whatever,
I
a
mean, why
conductive,
they haven't
cohesive, good
permanently
story.
hired what's his name that played Darth Maul, or voiced Darth Maul,
Oh,
and
yes,
Sam, I think his
Sam
name.
Witwer.
Yeah, we don't know why they haven't hired him by now as a permanent employee. He knows a lot
he's out.
in the
He's out.
Star Wars
Dave
canon.
Dave. Yeah.
Yeah, he knows a ton of Star Wars canon. There's so many interviews where he's talked about how he's had to correct them several times.
But he's
Um,
also the best kind of fan because he'll tell you, I didn't like Luke Skywalker in the sequels, but somebody else did, and that makes it a valid character.
yeah,
So I don't have to enjoy everything. Star Wars isn't made for me.
yeah. My only thing about my thing I don't like about Luke is they tried to like replay the whole like old goofy old man thing they did with Yoda and Obi-Wan. It's like you don't have to do that to every character that age. Like every Jedi when they get to a certain age, they just go senile.
Eh, you're connected to the whole universe. I can kind of expect it.
At
I've
this
been
point,
serious
it
my whole
seems
life. I just want to be a little silly.
we're 100% of when you get to an elderly age as a Jedi, you go nuts. At this point, there's this yeah.
Damn it, Kiadi Mundi. What about the droid attack on the Wookiees? It's gonna be fun though. I'm super excited because things are held at a different pedigree. I think in the Star Wars
Yeah.
storytelling universe, things have to have a much more cohesive storyline. They have to make sense. They have to reconnect to other things, to connect to other things, because they don't want things to just be stepped all over. So it's
That's
definitely a
what yeah.
saving grace.
I'm kind of glad that Disney's taken over. I know some
Hmm.
people still hate the Disney part, but I don't think we would have gotten this much attention still with Star Wars. I feel like
Hmm.
George Lucas would and Lucasfilm would let it die down, especially
We might
after
have gotten the other
the
movies.
movies.
Yeah, we might have gotten the other three movies, but we would not have gotten all these animated shows and.
Well, how bad they did comparison to like what Star Wars had done in the past.
Yeah.
I feel like they would have just kind of started let it die down. I don't think we definitely would have gotten a live action show. That's for sure.
Right.
But yeah, I feel like the still we've been getting so spoiled if you look at these
Yeah.
past couple of years with how much has come out, with how old Star Wars is.
Hmm.
Um, Everything that's around that age that is kind of a fandom, they're getting remakes right now. They're not getting continued story
Yeah.
material. They're getting
It's like
remakes.
honestly a solid, like now well over I would say 70% of Star Wars media came out after 2000 or 2010.
Yeah, if you think of any sci-fi major sci-fi
Hmm.
popular sci-fi group, they're all getting remakes. Alien is getting a remake. They're getting
Predator
uh
got Prey and like
yeah. Well, there's also that forgot what that's called. The one that had Harrison Ford in it. That one's got a
oh
remake.
god damn it. I know what you're talking about.
RoboCop got a remake. I mean, all these sci-fi series are getting remakes.
Not
Pretty
Cyberpunk.
much, Star Trek got pretty much a remake.
Yeah.
They did get a remake. They got re. Yeah, everyone's getting Star Wars. The only one
Blade
that
Runner.
hasn't. Blade Runner. I think. Planet of the Apes.
Yeah.
Believe it or not, that's a sci-fi. That's been getting remakes. They actually have another one coming out. Star Wars is the only one that hasn't gotten a remake. If you think about it,
Yeah.
we've
It's
only
just been the
gotten
same story.
sequels.
Yeah, sequels or different stories or different points of views.
I know the idea's been tossed around by remaking Episode 4, but I
Mm.
it would be the worst mistake in their life, honestly.
Yeah, there's no reason to ever remake these movies. Just keep doing new stories.
The and that's the thing with like Alien 2. It wasn't as it's a similar feel with how the special effects were done, but
Mm-hmm.
not as good.
Yeah.
It's just the old effects were just it was just perfect for a reason. It just would
Yes.
lose the charm if they
Yes.
remade Episode 4, even shot by shot. I feel like it's still they would do it. It'd just be mostly CGI. It just and you want to have the same feeling with it. I can't see any actors
Right.
taking.
Well, that's what captured part of the magic is everything seems to have been released and brought out when it needed to. We have
Yeah,
all these practical effects for the first three. Then we have all the CGI effects for the second three, or the second set of three. And now for this last set of three, we had a beautiful mixing of CGI that was well done and a lot of practical effects. So like Star Wars has really concisively figured out things, and like literally Lucasfilm Limited invented how many things that are now just commonplace in movies.
yeah,
So like as long as they keep doing that, that's what I like. That's what makes Lucasfilm different than all these other companies. Like even with Marvel, yeah, they're both ran by Disney, but Marvel isn't there to push the envelope. Lucasfilm enjoys doing that. The engineers in Lucasfilm like to make new things that change the scope of filming history.
yeah. And the problem with Marvel is they got just too popular too fast,
Mm-hmm.
and it just felt like they could just set Marvel on it and they would sell a lot. And they
Whereas Star
and
Wars
they
has always had
yeah.
this very, very good fandom that isn't just nerds and geeks. Like it bled out. It became a cultural phenomena to where like if you bought comics back in the 70s and 80s and early 90s, you were a nerd. But if you watched Star Wars, you could get away with it. You could still be someone you could still play football and like Han Solo.
Yeah, it's like well, it's like even if you put your worst Star Wars show in
Mm-hmm.
comparison, which I don't know what that would be. I don't know if it'd be Book of Boba Fett or Resistance because I don't think Resistance was that good. But it's Resistance is a hard one to compare. But if you do like something lately, like like you compare like Book of Boba Fett, which is one of the lowest ones, to one of the lowest ones for Marvel, which is Agents of Shield.
Mm,
It's not a good comparison because even Book of Fett had its flops. It's still such a higher quality.
yeah.
For Agents of Shield, I tried watching, I fell asleep. I'm sorry. I
I've
like
never
Marvel, but
I've never seen a single episode, and my wife loved it and would talk about it, and then I would try to get into it, and I'd be like, "This is so fucking boring."
yeah, people say Andor was slow. No,
Dude.
the Andor's not slow. Andor slow for like it made sense. That just slow because of
But good
slow
job,
story.
Star Wars, for coming out and saying, "No, we're not trying to do 27 seasons of this. You're getting like
Yeah.
4 or 5. It's going to tell a story. We move on."
Yeah, and they started doing it with Marvel, where it's kind of I felt like they've gotten a similar treatment without
Mm-hmm.
the animation part, which I think is still keeping Star Wars so strong. Is the Bad Batch animation
Yeah.
style? Well, Clone Wars, I guess I should call it animation style. I think is really
Star Wars
because
animated.
because the animation is so strong when you
Mm-hmm.
look at Rebels and Clone Wars and Bad Batch and even Tales of the Jedi that we've gotten in the past
Yep. Now Tales of the
and I'm talking
Empire.
about
Ooh.
it's just the level. They're one of the top animations out right now.
Yeah.
Because we're getting because the only other good animation you're getting
Star
outside of
Wars
like
is controlling it also in children's. We have the Young Jedi
yeah
Adventures. Then we have Resistance, which was more like middle ground and like Bad Batch. But now
yeah
and then we have like in Tales of the Empire. Like their animation squad is everywhere. It's
well
it's it's really good.
and you look at the quality even in um the Young Jedi
Mm.
is such good quality compared to what's on children's TV right now.
Yeah.
Um, the storytelling on top of the animation itself. Um, and we get that with the Bad Batch. You compare the Bad Batch animations, really really good because you see these modern animation studios coming out, and even in these Japanese anime, they're still struggling with their real
Mm-hmm.
choppy and they barely any movement. You don't understand how much like detail work is in Bad Batch
Right.
and in
Exactly.
Tales of the Jedi is like it's like animation movie level quality.
Mm-hmm.
Well, even some of those are terrible. Like This is like high end
Like,
quality
yeah,
animation.
look at a background character that's like 3 stages. So like there's a middle ground. So there's like in front of you, middle ground, and background. Look at like a far background character in Bad Batch, and then a far background character in like Pixar. And watch how the dude in Pixar just like do just to move to give it a feeling. But with Bad Batch, every individual background character
Well,
moves and breathes and
even the
sways.
stormtroopers and the
Yeah.
MP and the just random civilians in the background have full detail.
Yep.
Like the stormtroopers are the easiest thing to like just copy and paste and like super and unanimate, but they have almost as the same full
Mm-hmm.
quality as the Bad Batch themselves.
So yeah, it's really well done, and that's just going to lead into the future of this, which is going to make Tales of the Empire is going to look brilliant. I can't wait to see all that red
It's
on the
just, it's
screen.
I believe it's the same animation team, isn't
Yeah,
it?
it should be. I don't know why they would change it up now,
I mean, the
but
last one was, I believe, the
yeah,
last one was fantastic.
exactly. It's going to be the fighting in this Tales of the Empire is going to have awesome fights. I can tell it's going to have awesome fights.
It's
So
it's peak animation right
yeah,
now. It may be more of the kind of CGI style
mm-hmm.
animation, what's the heavy the 3D, but it's cleaner.
Yep, it looks
It's
good.
this weird thing they developed with Clone Wars where it's kind of this. It's got a weird style to it, but it works well. It feels a little action figure, which is, I mean, it's perfect.
That's
So
fine. Yeah, exactly.
yeah,
So, guys, down in the comment section when you're hitting that like and subscribe button, tell us what you're the most excited for with the upcoming future of Star Wars, and just what are your opinions on their animation field. Like it, hate it. If you hate it, I'd love to know why, because I don't think I've met anyone who does. So, you be that one outlier and figure it out for me. Uh, but it's going to be a great time. We're going to have so many more amazing things coming out. And yes, Fallout is coming out. It's like it already is out
tonight.
almost. Yeah, so
That's in a couple hours.
that's something we'll go watch after this. Guys, thank you all so much for stopping by. Have an amazing rest of your week. We will see you all next week for the next House of Holocrons. And as always, do remember that the Force shall serve you well.
May the force be with you.